The book is Crash and Burn. Artie Lange, great comedian. Of course, was with Howard Stern for many years, now working on the DirecTV audience channel here, 239.
Absolutely.
Monday through Friday, joining us in the loft that we share with you.
Yeah.
You're up early.
It's an honor. Yeah, no, I did this for 8.5 years. I mean, for 8.5 years, I had a paper route, basically, that I combined with a stand-up schedule. So led
Wait, you
to
were a stand-up
disaster.
comedian and a paper route?
That's what I called the Stern Show at 4 a.m., paper route.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't, when I got that job, every comedian I knew said, congratulations, I give you 3 weeks because of the schedule. But, I said, listen, I'm not doing the Z Morning Zoo. It's Stern, so I'll make myself do this. And for 7 years, at 8.5, I did it well. And the last year and a half was horrible because I descended into dope again. But, did you ever do 6 a.m. radio?
Yes, I did.
You did? For how long?
I did morning drive radio for a couple of years.
Wow.
And it crushed me.
Yeah, it is brutal, man.
But being funny at 6 a.m. in the morning, and you're normally funny at 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
Is it tough to do that, to transfer into morning humor as opposed to you're normally funny at doing stand-up at night?
It was, but, with Howard there, it was just a different thing. When you're with somebody that good, and someone who you want to impress every day, you make it happen. I think if I was blowing the 5 o'clock whistle or, giving the morning entertainment news for the Z Morning Zoo, I think I would have mailed it in a lot earlier if I was talking about the Kardashians. But, with Howard, it just was so much fun. It was just a blast to be there,
But at what point did you feel like you were abusing the relationship and the privilege there with Howard?
I'd say probably about 6 years into the 8.5 years I was there. The drugs had taken over to the point where I got addicted to the money. The most I made in one night at the pinnacle of being, and the people say the difference between being on Stern and not being on Stern as a comic. I went from playing the Funny Bone to Carnegie Hall. I mean, that's literally what happened to me. And it's because of being on Howard. Super Bowl Eve at Mandalay Bay, 2008, I made $140,000 in a night. And 60 grand for each show, and I made 20 grand to go to their stupid club and just stay there and say, "Oh, Artie Lange was here." And I lost 80 grand at the tables. I spent 10,000 on a hooker, and then I gave the rest to my agents and everything. I lost 8,000. On the plane back, I was down 8 grand. I mean, there's no way to tell that story without someone, doing what you just did, looking down in embarrassment for me. You did the classiest thing you could have done for me.
Yeah,
and I appreciate it.
I didn't say anything. I chose not to say anything.
You did what $400 an hour therapists have done. And I appreciate that.
But here you have the...
but to answer your question, it's a good one because, you're talking about a legendary guy and a hero of mine. I would go in depressed about stuff like that, needing to be high, because if I wasn't high, I'd go into full-blown withdrawal, and that wasn't pretty. I mean, I'm not pretty after a spa treatment and it's putting on a tux, full-blown withdrawals, forget it. And I wasn't good. I wasn't good on the air. And I would start making it to stand-up gigs and not making it to the show sometimes, and you can't do that. You can't do that to someone like Howard, and I was ashamed of it.
But how are you getting... So you're getting high before you go in to do the show?
Well, with opiates, heroin and stuff, they become a part of your body. It's the worst thing to get addicted to because, you need it just to live after a while. And it was because of the schedule I gave myself. So I had a cop before I went in. There were times, when you go on the road and you're addicted to heroin, that it's a full-time job. You got to land and find a dealer in Pittsburgh, which, a lot of, cabbies and concierges can get you, because you can't go on stage in withdrawal. You got to find something. So now you're going, to the seediest part of St. Louis, or wherever, and you don't even know, to get something just to get you on stage. And a lot of comedy club guys will get you whatever you need because they got 3 sold-out shows and they got to get you on stage. It becomes a horrible existence. It becomes a living hell. It really does.
But you're sort of trapped in this.
Yeah.
But then there's so many dichotomies here. People want you to party.
Right.
You shouldn't party. I got the Howard Stern show. I got to be ready for that.
Right.
That's my main job. I can't do that.
It was. I should have respected that. That was my Yankee Stadium, and I was good at it, and I should have respected that.
But it hurts Howard to this day. He hasn't had you in to talk about your book, right?
Well, I mean, and he's doing the most professional thing someone could do. I mean, Howard, doesn't need ratings with anything, and every fan goes, "Oh, those ratings would be great. We want you on." But he's doing a real professional move in the sense that I don't know what happened in here with him. I'm not a professional. What happened was so severe that listen, I can't have him in and risk something triggering something. Nothing's bigger than him being okay, not promoting a book or anything. And I get it. As a respect to the book company, who paid me very well. I asked Gary once. They said, we're not comfortable with it. I completely understand, and I told them to back off, and that's it. I get it, and I agree with it. I think they're doing the right thing,
We're talking to Artie Lange. The book is Crash and Burn on the New York Times bestseller list. And I agree with you. I think Howard's looking at this as a person and a friend of yours instead of a host who can take advantage of this and say, let me exploit this.
Right.
And instead, he's saying, "No, this hurts too much.
Yeah,
I don't want to revisit that.
Yep,
and let you do these other shows there."
Why put me through it again? And again, I think he's 100% right. And he's one of those rare guys who doesn't need anybody on the show to be successful. He's got it. It's fine. I really feel terrible as a fan. My relationship with that show started when I was 13. My father turned me on to him. My father, working climbing roofs all day, would say, "Come. Got to come with me to work tomorrow. You got to hear this guy. He's so funny." And it would be a bonding thing with my father. And not only did I get on the show, for a long time, Howard and I became friends, like really good friends. We'd talk to each other on the phone. We'd go on double dates with our girls and get advice from each other. And, if you go to rehab and you talk to addicts of any kind, especially heroin, they say some relationships are going to go away. It's going to hurt. And the one that hurts the most is the way I threw that relationship away, that friendship away. He's still friendly and he's not an enemy and he roots for me, but it just can't be the way it was before,
Wait, I don't know. People always say, well, is it cathartic to talk about this when you're going to go, okay, I attempted suicide.
Right.
Everything I've put my family through, relationships there. Yeah. Was it cathartic?
In a way it was. I'll tell you, rereading it, I try to reread it, and my mother read it I sent her a copy of the full book because I said, "Ma, listen, I don't care about lawyers or anything. If you don't want me to do this, I won't do it." And she cried, but she thought it was good to put out there. And it represents closure in that part of my life. I don't know. Again, part of one of the weaknesses I have is not being appropriate with things. I don't know what's right or wrong. But this feels like it could actually help people. I want it to be graphic and crazy because if you're considering dope and you read this book and you do it, there really is something's wrong at another level because of what happened to me. But there's guilt I'll never get over with family stuff. You just got to move on, and thank God I never killed anybody. I'm not dead. No one is seriously injured.
But did you really want to kill yourself?
Well, here's the thing. I was under the influence of a lot of drugs. So if I wasn't, I could still be in the nut house now. I mean, legally, if you do that straight-minded, they could keep you in a mental institution for years. But the fact that I was on so many different drugs, they're like, okay, once I got sober, they're like, you don't want to do that again. I'm like, no, I really don't. And they figured out that was the truth. But at the time and the state of mind I was in, living wasn't a great option for me. I just, the funny thing is though, I stabbed myself. If I had abs, I'd probably be dead right now. I couldn't get through the blubber. But and the other thing was, people say, why don't you just jump off a building or shoot yourself? I said, and this is the way my thought process is, I actually thought about jumping off, like checking into the Four Seasons, jumping off the 50th floor of Manhattan. But I really thought, what if I fall on somebody? Like I said, what if I fall on a guy? Could you imagine someone on Oprah Winfrey crying, and underneath it says, Artie Lange fell on his son?
You're so thoughtful. Yeah. You're so caring.
And then I'd be alive because I could fall on two people, maybe.
The book is Crash and Burn with Artie Lange. We'll come back. We'll continue with him.
Right now, on paper, my life couldn't be better. I'm busy. I got a girl I'm in love with, and, I got some money, but, I don't know.
But isn't there an edge to being a comedian that you got to have, like, you're angry about something?
The 2 years I was on a sitcom, I was on an ABC sitcom for 2 years 99 to 01. And I was living in LA. I had a convertible, I had a tan, I was thinner. I was like a jerk off. But I was never less funny.
The book is Crash and Burn. Artie Lange joining us in the New York City Man Cave on the New York Times bestseller list. We were talking during the live look-in, if you're watching on Audience Channel 239 DirecTV and the NBC Sports Network, about comedians, that you do have happy comedians.
Right.
But I think most of us think comedians are dark, angry.
Yeah.
The difference between kind of diving into that treasure trove of being angry, there's something, dark, as opposed to Jerry Seinfeld or Brian Regan, who are always happy.
Who are amazing
they're
comics.
Upbeat. Yeah.
I'm so jealous of those guys.
Would you like to be happy, a happy comedian?
Of course. I guess everybody wants to be happy, but I'm not sure if I know what it is. Happiness,
Because Carlin always had something that bothered him. Richard Pryor,
God.
Chris Rock.
When George Carlin was mad, there was nobody funnier. Like Carlin went through a period of time where he was kind of happy, I think. Like it was happier stuff he was doing. And even he said, oh, that was terrible. He was always hilarious. But when he was mad about something, oh, God, there was nobody funnier. But he needed that. He needed that anger. Richard Pryor, the same exact thing, after he burned himself up, he did the best concert of all time. That first Richard Pryor set that he does in 1979, the first concert film, he talks about New Year's Eve when he shoots his wife's car, but he bought the car for her.
Therefore, it's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And that cocaine I was doing said, shoot something else, Richard. So I shot a tire. I was like, and then I shot another car. And I said, I bought both cars, stories like that are amazing. And that I was always drawn to that. Howard Stern has an incredible dark side, and anger. And then when he's angry, it's the best. Ryan Seacrest isn't an angry guy. I'll leave it there,
But also, I remember Jonah Hill was on, and I said, do people look at you as being less funny because he got in shape?
Yeah.
Now, he was bothered by that. He goes,
Right.
I can't believe you asked that. And I said, I'm not saying that, but do we want our comedians like Chris Farley and John Belushi that we want you to
have flaws?
Yeah, we don't want you to look
right.
great.
Right, Joe Piscopo made the worst mistake ever. He got in shape as a comic.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? No one wants to laugh at, an Adonis guy. You want to slap those guys around if you can. Comedians, Seinfeld said this is the best. You don't want to be getting the Oscar. You want to be making fun of the Academy Awards. You don't want to be in that, world. Of course, if you get it, every comic takes it immediately. But comics, and I'm certainly, are more fun standing outside of the award ceremony, making fun of the people. That's just how it is. And you can come off as mean and negative, but that's just the truth.
When you look at sports, and I know you incorporate sports a lot, whether stand-up or in your show on DirecTV, are you watching as a comedian or as an actual fan?
Well, that's a great question, because when I was a kid and in my early 20s, I was just a fan, and then I was a fan of gambling. that became a big part of it. But now, because of what I do for a living, and I hate this, it's like a curse, I look at everything in a comedic way. I try, what's a comedic angle? How can I make this into a bit? This, that, the other thing. And sports nowadays is certainly, you guys pioneered it, what it's become. It's insane. It's all over the place. It's mainstream stuff. So women can get sports references like never before, and even nerdy types get into fantasy stuff. And so sports is as mainstream as politics were, even more so. So now, I look at stuff, and like when Chad Ochocinco changed his name to Ochocinco, I'm like, okay, I'm not, as a fan, I don't think that's cool. I'm like, how many jokes could I make?
And you're still a Yankee fan?
Yeah, it's funny. I just did Conan with two of the Red Sox, and it's one of those talk show appearances I'm going to show to my grandkids. I did it with Gomes and Victorino, and they stayed out on the couch, and I was busting their chops, and we talked A-Rod and stuff. And
you ever hang out with A-Rod?
No, I've never met him.
Probably not going to hang out.
I don't know. I mean, he's not a relatable guy. And look, I don't begrudge people money. Make all the money you want, but it's just try to look a little annoyed after you strike out every single time with the bases loaded, and you're making $32 million. Wait a day before you go, have sex with Cameron Diaz by a pool in Miami, while we're in our orange vests fixing the LIE after we just,
Man, you ask a lot. The book is Crash and Burn.
Spend one day in the Bronx where it's raining.
Artie Lange on the New York Times bestseller list. Great to see you.
Always good to see you, Dan. Thanks for having me,
All right.
man.
Don't screw this up, all right?
I won't, buddy.
All right.
And thanks for your help in the last few years. I appreciate it.
Well, we love seeing you.
Salute.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.